Hello, fellow journey people.
Hello there.
Hello, hello.
Alex,
Hello,
you're
good
back.
evening.
Dapo, welcome for your first time. So nice to meet you.
Thank you. Good evening. Hello, everyone.
Dr. Cheryl, I see your avatar. That's,
Yes, hello there.
it's my first time seeing a Zoom avatar, if I'm completely
Ah,
unexpected.
when I'm not teaching, I try to use it because I'm on Zoom so much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right on. Nice. Arjun, nice to see you as well. Let's give it just a few seconds for others to join us. Maybe we'll have one or two others join us, and we will take our conversation forward. And hopefully I can figure out why my computer is not charging in that time frame. Memotito. That is weird. Right. And we're back. Well, I have already pushed record. I'm ready to go. Let's share a screen and let's figure out where we are today.
I'm so sorry, Ladek. Are you able to send the link with the Google Doc again? I had it up on my screen and I can't find it.
No problem at all.
Thank you very much.
There is Nikki. Um, here's the it's the documentary, not the document. Sorry.
Thank you.
Man, can I edit that? Oh, I can. Look, nice. Um, and you'll see in that document, I've actually the recordings from yesterday, then last week, and then I will put the recording as well for day 3 in that one as well. You'll also see there's a couple other links for things that we're going to be discussing today, which is the workshop template, and then there's actually as a preview, it's kind of a spoiler. Um, there's two training videos that I put there. One's a short version of how to build a workshop course in Experienceify that was put together by my former colleague Brenda, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, but she did a brilliant job. And so that was training that she did. And then the longer training video encapsulates a lot of the same pieces that we have gone through here in the ACD. But if you'd like to do that, if you'd like those kind of recap and that kind of stuff, that is available for you as well. So going back to where we were, we kind of got through our mindset shift conversation yesterday. I feel like we had a really, or sorry, on Tuesday, and we had a really great conversation around that. So today I wanted to continue moving us forward through our kind of our convert conversation, where, you after we've kind of confronted our norms and how we feel about being a salesperson and actually getting out there and starting to talk to people about the fact that we've got these courses that we have, and also that we are selling a service. Usually it's a coaching practice or some kind of other service that we're providing to the world. What do we do next? And so the next thing that we do is to reach out to our hot network that we've started creating. So let me pause before I start diving into material and just say, any reflections or feedback. Oh, Cynthia has now joined us as well. Anything that anybody wants to share from the last session, or things that have happened over the last 48 hours that are interesting? Any mindset shifts or any reflections before we kind of dive in?
Yeah,
Okay.
Who said yeah? I'm not sure who said yeah.
I did.
Is that Nikki?
No, it's me, Cynthia.
Cynthia. All right. Sorry,
I'm
Cynthia.
sorry I'm late.
No. Your video's not on, so I can't see you. So I'm not sure who it is.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Now I see you. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I just really want to start seeing some income.
Yeah, 100%. Totally get it. Thanks for, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, the reflection. Have you made your hot network list?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. And have you started to reach out to them?
I'm waiting to finish my EMC so that I
Okay.
can email them back because I have a pretty good mailing list, some contacts that I feel like some of them might be interested or know someone that is.
Okay. So it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like you've already got something that's created, which is great. So for the next, sort of 45 minutes here, 50 minutes, that's what we're going to be talking about, what to create next.
Okay.
And if you're already building your EMC, that's fantastic. It's wonderful. But that's a great reflection. Thanks. Anybody else want to offer anything before we dive forward?
It's just the fact that it helps so much, just feeling, yeah, just ready. I went in and created 2 versions of my course in Experienceify. So now I can offer the 6-week course or the 1-week intensive. And thanks to Rachel on the Experienceify call, I created my new sales page with both of those options. So I'm going to the markets tomorrow. So I've got 2 offers, and basically there's a link and they can pay, and I'm ready. So it's really been very, very helpful to get across that fear barrier, I think.
That's wonderful. Congratulations to both of you. I want you guys to just start, that's one of the things that we have a tendency to always be waiting for that last thing, or that one last tweak, or that other, that one last piece to come into place before we actually just start going out and be like, hey, yeah, you can come buy this. So it sounds like you're both in that, at least you're very close to that space where you can just start doing that. And that's what we want to do, right? So as you see on the screen right now, this hot network outreach is quite literally going out and starting to ask people. I think, and let me ask you this, Alex, I want you to give us this example. Like when you go out to your hot network now, and let's just say you've got your contact list of 50 people or whatever it is. What is it that you like? What's your lead in, or what's your opening line that you're using for individuals? And break it down to me from like people that you know really well, what we would call, a really hot lead, like your close friends and your family or whatever, people that would answer you instantly. Warm leads, like maybe, an acquaintance, a work colleague, somebody who's kind of on the second circle. And then like the third circle of people who maybe you have to, a friend of a friend, or somebody you haven't talked to in a long time or something like that. Like break that down for me.
That's a really great question. So people that I know really well, usually before I'd be a bit tentative about explaining what I'm doing. So now it's just a case of, I'm so excited. I've been working on this Food Forest course and it's finally ready to go. And I've actually got some dates now. So I'm going to start offering things in the new year. And if there's someone who's got land and they would be interested in installing a food forest, then I'm basically saying, sorry, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'd love to get really practical. Like imagine that I'm somebody who's let's say that's one of your people. I'm somebody who has land and really well. Like what's the email or the text or the message that you send me?
And I've spoken to you before. So I'd reach out and say, hi, Stephen. How's it all going out on your property? Just to let you know, I've got some courses that I think would be really helpful because I know we've discussed that you were interested in setting up a food forest. And based on some feedback, I've now got a 1-week intensive as well as a 6-week course, and they're starting in the new year. Feel free to reach out if you've got any questions or I can help in any way. And I'm really excited because it also includes a bonus plant pack of 50 trees to get you started. So, any questions? It'd be great to connect. I don't know, something like that.
Awesome. Anybody want to offer Alex feedback on that?
I think she did a great job.
Super cool. All right. Thanks for that feedback. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Thank you, Cynthia.
I would offer you the feedback that even with your hot network.
Yeah.
And I know I put you on the spot, so right that you
No,
kinda-
that's it.
you
That's
can't-
but that's
you totally
good. I need this. I need
totally
this.
you totally had to make this up on your own. Even with your hot network, people who are your friends, your family, the people maybe, who you said, you've contacted them before. One of the things that we want to do in these conversations is that we want to make sure that we don't ask yes or no questions. And we also want to make sure that we engage them and we get them to start talking to us before we make an offer, right?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm thinking it's like an email or something like that.
But even in an email,
But even in
an
the email,
an
okay.
like an email that you send to anyone, is anyway that you send to anyone, your goal is to get them to be like, oh yeah, let me tell you about me,
Yeah.
right?
This is a key point I've been struggling with.
And so that's especially as we get to the outer layers of people that maybe you don't know so well or anything. But remember, we're all super busy. We all have complex lives, and we're about to enter into a conversation around having them give us money, right? And so as we enter into that conversation, the first thing, especially for people that you say, you've either contacted recently or, they're interested in this, ask them how their property is. Hey, I'm just wondering what's going on in your property these days. Just wanted to check in with you. I've got some updates as well to share. But tell me about you. Get them started. Get them. Hey, cool. Alex is talking to me. I remember her. I want to engage with her and get them to send you an email back so that you've already started the two-way conversation rather than giving them a wall of text and a wall of stuff.
Yes.
And as much as we don't like, I personally hate using email as a conversation tool. If that's where you have to meet them, that's where you meet them, right? But if it's on chat, that's a great one. But you want to have at least a couple of back and forths before you say, hey, I wanted to give you my update that, I've actually, I was telling you about this products that I was putting together. They're ready now. And I'd love to, I'm putting them on the street now and I've got some dates and I'd love to share those with you. Can I send them over? Or we want to find a way to be like, tell me about when you might be interested in, when you might be available. Or I'm hoping that you're going to be available for these dates, that kind of stuff. So I would just recommend starting that conversation.
I really like that. That's the exact point I've been struggling with so much. So thank you. It's really, really useful.
Sure.
Yes.
And I'm happy to hear from other people that are on the call. Like, do you have any other suggestions about how you've been successful in reaching out to people that right?
Well, I kind of wanted to follow up on that. I think it's a great idea to really find out how they are doing and be interested in anything that may be going on in their lives. For me, I want to send an email out because I was thinking of doing a welcome email. This is a list of people that I have worked with in a different capacity that has opted in to, I haven't talked to them or reached out to them in a while. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because I definitely want to come back a year later and start pitching something to them without really engaging in what's been going on in their lives. So that was really helpful.
Cool. Fantastic. So and now this is somebody who's really hot and who's a real prospect, right? And who may actually come and buy your course. So that I would actually put those as even more above your hot network. I would say that's a real lead, right? A part of your hot network are just sort of people who may know someone, right? Who may know someone. So do you have an example? Cynthia, I want to offer this to you opportunity. It's like, so if we're outside, if we go from the bullseye of, hey, you're actually my target market and you may actually want to buy my service to the people just outside. So these are friends, family members, church members, people that you see regularly, that you chat with, that you talk with, that you know, if you were to call them, they would call you back, that kind of thing. What is a way that you would introduce this course that you have or introduce this service that you have to ask them to help you find people? Like how would you go about that?
That's a good question. A lot of the people that are on my list, they were moms that purchase classes from me for their children. And so I would ask for referrals because I would think that some of their sisters or even their daughters now who may be of age may be interested in my products and services. And so I would approach them, just basically ask them if they know someone that may be looking to, create a healthier, safer home and reduce their toxic load. So I wouldn't want to put anyone on the spot. I would always say, maybe if you know someone who is looking for A, B, and C, definitely, refer them to me.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'm going to give you I'm putting in the Zoom chat here, some suggested texts about what you could use in an email like that.
This is just what I needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
have
it's,
your mood.
like it's quite literally. And so like the key about your hot network and that, like, so the people that are, again, not target bullseye clients, like what Alex was just saying originally, but what you're saying is where these aren't necessarily the people who are going to be your clients, but these are people you're reaching out to and saying, look, that I've been building this course, or I've been building this new practice, and I'm ready to kick it off. And so I'm reaching out and asking for you to make a referral for me. Like, do you know anybody who would be interested in this? Or, you may be surprised. Some people may say, hey, yeah, Cheryl, I'm interested in this. And if that's the case, then you start the conversation from there, obviously. Then they move from hot lead to target market, right? But in this case, you're saying, hey, look, I'm looking for people who have this. And that's why you see in there, you're like your ideal client profile piece, right? These are where you can take these pieces that we've built in the other days and say, here's exactly what I'm offering. Here's exactly who I'm looking for. Do you know anybody in your life? I'm always, I love how it's still so surprising where it's just like somebody you may not, who could be a really good friend of yours. They'll be like, oh yeah, I've got a cousin, or I have two work colleagues who were just talking about this yesterday. But now that you've re-triggered it in their brain, right? You've brought it up again. They're like, oh yeah, now they make the connection. And then you say, hey, would you mind making an introduction for me? Or, could you pass a link to my course to them? Or something like that. I mean, ideally, like you'd like to be able to own the conversation.
Yes, I like that.
So as we are thinking about moving from outside that circle, again, from target ideal client to hot network, where these are people that we know really, really well, what would you do differently as you reach out to people who are on that next circle out, who kind of a warm lead? So you might not feel so comfortable. Maybe you haven't talked with them for a little while. Maybe they're a friend of a friend. Maybe they were a former work colleague that you knew, and you've got their email address, but you don't know them so well. Like, what are some ways that, at least one or two specific ways, that you could repackage this message or tailor this message so that it might hit a little differently or might get a response?
Are you asking anyone in particular, Ladek?
No, I'm making it up. I'm Dapo. You're welcome to show up. Arjun, you can. You've been around for a while. Dr. Cheryl, if you'd like.
Well, I'll take a stab at it.
Go ahead. Yeah. And yeah, go ahead. Take a stab. What would you do? What would you do differently to reach out to warm leads? Yeah.
I think that I would I would mention to them my long-standing interests in health and wellness, and specifically um, how it might relate to something that they know that I've done or the experience that I've had in a previous career. I think I would kind of start there so that they can see why it makes sense that I'm doing what I'm doing now.
Mm,
I think I would kind of go with that approach.
I love it. Yeah, kind of reintroducing yourself. Excellent. What would you think is there a way that you might do it that might be even more powerful than a message or a text?
Say that again.
Is there a way that you could reintroduce yourself in a way that might be more powerful than just, text, like through a text message or through an email?
Well, maybe I would point them to some of the messages and the nuggets on my social media pages
Mm-hmm.
so that they can, at their leisure, kind of get to know me that way a little more.
Awesome. Where my brain is going, and I don't want to belabor the point, was trying to connect them through some kind of audio file or video file would be a great way to make yourself a real human, right?
Mhm,
So especially if you have people where, if you have their number and you can send them a text of some kind, you can always send a voice note, right?
mhm,
And a voice note, even though sometimes we avoid those, people eventually do come back and listen to them. And it's a real way for you to inject your voice and your energy into that. Also, a really short video clip where you just kind of use the same, almost the same kind of text that I put in the chat there, where you're just saying, look, hey, I'm as you said, I've restarted, or I've started this new practice. We haven't talked in a little while, but I just want to let you know that I'm launching it, and I'd love to reconnect, introduce you to it, and see if see if there's any other people in your network that might be interested in this,
mm,
right? And the only reason I'm interjecting those two pieces there is, um, we're just trying to make ourselves human, right? We're trying to make ourselves, it's really easy to ignore a text. It's really easy to ignore an email. But when you have that human element in there, it makes it a little more difficult to walk away from it and not respond, or, it may trigger some emotional quality that they get back to you on as well.
I have a question in relation to this. I had done a talk a few months ago just at my local markets about, it was my EMC, but in kind of person form. So I said it was a little talk on the top homesteading mistakes, and I collected some emails and text messages. I went about it the wrong way, but that's okay. We've got to do it, and that's how fail fast so
Yeah.
you can learn fast.
Sure.
But I've put together a collection of YouTube videos as well. So I sent to them, I know this was the wrong way of going about it, but I'm working out how to improve this in the future. So I sent them a message saying basically, hi, it's Alex here. You were at the Food Forest talk a few months ago. It was great to meet you. And I gave people a little free tree. So I said, how is your little fruit tree going? Just to let you know, I've put together some free YouTube resources on Food Forest since you're interested. And just to let you know, I've got a course coming up as well. Feel free to send me a message if I can answer any questions. What did I say? Something like, if you've got any Food Forest questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to help. Or it was along those lines. So how can I kind of, those people, like we've been saying, who we haven't spoken to for a while, but maybe who have given you their email and email and phone number because they were interested in your topic. Have you got an example of how to kind of reach out to these people? Because I got a few responses which were lovely, but some people went straight to the sales page and said far too expensive. And I was like, oh, okay. And
So-
one person said, sign me up.
Right.
So he was the one I went and couldn't take the deposit from, but it's okay. I'll get there.
So yeah, especially when you're talking about a high ticket item like yours, where it's like $1,700, right? Isn't that what 16 or 17?
Yeah, $1,497. Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, above $1,000. I would always just ask for a phone call. I'd say, can we jump on a Zoom to talk about this, right? Like, I would come back to those people, especially if it's someone who's given your email address, so they've, they're in your network somewhere, and they've indicated before in past that they've had interest. but it's been a while and, you have to restart the conversation, I would reach out and say, hey, I'm writing to reconnect, or I'm reaching out to reconnect with you because, my food forest project is really taking off and I'd love to speak with you about it. Is there a time we could talk, in the next 2 or 3 days? And, start to get them, engage, once again, engage that interest. And then once you are able to connect with them, have that appointment calendar link that you can send to them, and just make it easy for them to say, hey, look, here's my calendar. Pick whatever time is available for you that, is super easy for you. And, we'll get on a quick call, and I'd just love to tell you all about it. And then, use that call as the opportunity to, well, and we'll kind of talk about that next. Like, you want to engage them, right? You want to ask them about, hey, are you still having, you still have that land out there that you're wondering what to do with it? Is sustainability still something that you're really interested in? Have you, are you interested in saving some money over time, by growing your own plants, that kind of thing. But ultimately, when we're engaging in these conversations, we want to make sure that we're not pushing and selling what we want. We want to actually hear them tell us what they want. That's where I'm trying to go. Because more often than not, they will tell you exactly what they want. And the good news is more than likely you are probably selling what they want. You just have to say it in a different way, right? So that's what I would do.
Really useful. Thank you.
So it's a really good question there. So we've kind of got 3 scenarios, and I'm kind of moving along just because, we only have a half hour and I want to go through some more material. But here's, what if they want to talk to you right now? Like, what's your answer there, where, you send a text out, or, you get an email and they're like, hey, can we jump on a call right now? Yeah. I'm like, I'd love to talk to you right now. What's your answer there?
For me, or would you like someone else to have a?
I guess let's let someone else answer that question.
Yeah.
Well, if they're available to talk, then I'll make myself available, because I could make a sale on that call.
Okay. But I guess tell me how you would do that. Are you going to jump on a call like immediately, or are you going to send them a link, or how are you going to do that?
I'll send them a link to join, and schedule it. That means by the time I'm trying to reach out for my offer, I already have whatever it is I'm going to offer ready. So I'll jump on that link, and then we have the session. Either it's a short one, maybe 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, talk about it, know what they want, like you said, and then take it from there.
Fantastic.
I want to understand. I want to believe that call will be just to have a full understanding of, probably want to know what solution I have or what problem they have that I can solve, and then we'll go on from there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Anybody else have a different way that they would handle that?
Hi, Stephen. It's Nikki.
Hey, Nikki.
As much as I would like to jump on a call and say, hey, let's talk, because like the good doctor there, I would be ready to sell on that call. But at the same time, we're all busy. So I would personally handle it where we would set up a good time and date to talk, and that would allow them to put together some questions that they would have for me when we talked, and any other, concerns that they would have. So they would have ready questions. And then that way we can get a better idea. It's kind of like a discovery call, kind of getting to know that person and the types of questions that they would ask, and if my service would be of benefit for them.
100%.
And so, and going back to the previous question about how you would start, in contact with people, if anybody has been, of course, had any exposure to Marisa, how she sends out, I'm thinking about sending out kind of like a little video infomercial like she does. Because then we know that she's real. She's really passionate and enthusiastic about what she has to offer. And I think Alex would be great on an infomercial kind of thing, because she definitely knows the product and the service that she's promoting. So maybe that's a way to get people interested, kind of give them a background of what you have to offer, and also ask them, open-ended questions like, do you suffer from this, or maybe highlight a couple of pain points that people can relate to or resonate with, and that can start a conversation like, give us a call, or if you have any interest, feel free to reach out and we can set up a time to discuss further.
I love it.
That's all I have to offer there.
I love it. Thanks so much for that feedback. That's fantastic. I'm going to jump forward 2 slides because you did a wonderful job of stealing my thunder in this slide right here, right? About
That was great, Nikki. Thank you.
building rapport. So which is wonderful. You jumped right into it, and like this is what I was going to talk about. I'm going to hop back for just 1 second, just because one of the things I ask if they want to talk right now, there is value in saying, "Hey, I'd love to talk. Let's set up a time to do that." Rather than saying, "Yeah, let's jump on a call right now," only because I hesitate to use these terms, but to give the maybe the illusion of you're important and you are a scarce resource, right? And so for you to say, "Hey, look, yes, I'd love to talk to you. Here's my calendar," and just set up your calendar so that it always makes sure that they have to book at least 48 hours in advance, 48 hours from now, or at least 24 hours or 48 hours from now, so that, "Hey, look, it's like, I would love to talk to you. I've got a lot of times next week, here's my link," and do that only because you want to communicate, "Look, I'm not desperate for the sale. I'm not dying here. I want your business, but let's pick a time that works for both of us." So that's one reason to do that. And then the second reason is that, just as Nikki was saying there, we want to get them on a call, right? A live call, because it's our ability, this is our moment to be able to build rapport. And most importantly, this second piece right here is to listen to their actual problem, right? So always, 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 we want to have these conversations where it's just like, so, and in Alex's case, I keep picking on Alex here, but it's like, "Hey, so tell me, how's your property going right now? What's the state of it? Tell me, has anything progressed since, the last, time we talked 2 or 3 months ago or 6 months ago, and get them to start talking about it. Get them to start, or, in Cynthia's case, it's like, "So, like, tell me what's happening in your home. How you feel? Have you been having problems recently? Are you, are there things that have been affecting you? Are you having health issues?" Like, get them to talk about themselves. And this is not, again, we're not here to be manipulative in our sales tactics. What we're trying to do is we're trying to start to engage them and get them energized around something that's important to them, right? And we're going to give them a service that is going to help them solve this problem.
Stephen, are you referring to if you just happen to run into somebody in person?
Oh, in this particular case, we're getting people on calls. Actually, I would say if you were to run into somebody in person, you should be ready to at least explain what it is that you do. But again, I would hesitate to kind of give a pitch in person just like that, just simply because very rarely, if I run into somebody at a coffee shop or in a shopping space, or, at an office or whatever, like, they're not there. They didn't come there ready to make a sale, right? Like, it would be a very rare instance where you're like, "Hey, did I happen to mention I've got a $1,500 course that you could buy?" Like, that I just don't see a sale happening there. But what you could say is like, "Oh, wow, Alex, it's so great to see. We're at the coffee shop here. I didn't expect to run into you. I've got some new updates on my food forest project. I'd love to hear about your property. Can we set up a time to talk?" And then right there, you can get, you could book a time a couple of days from there. And then you come prepared. Then you can be relaxed about it. You're both coming to the call in order to have that conversation, right? To actually start talking about that. So that's what I would do.
And I like that because then they know what they're in for, versus catching them off guard at the coffee shop and pushing your stuff on them, which has that kind of repelling, "Whoa, hang on."
Sure, exactly. And so I'm going to take us through these couple of other points, because Nikki did a great job of introducing this to us. So not only listening to the actual problems that they have, and again, I'm going to Alec, use the problem that you solve, right? So if we're talking on the phone and you start telling me, hey, it's going good, but we really haven't made much progress on the property. We've installed a couple of things, but it's been really busy, and I'd still love to get my food forest going, or whatever that is. That this is a moment where you can say, wow, that's let's talk about what does that future look like, right? And listen to those roadblocks. They may say, look, I haven't had the time or the money, or I haven't been able to figure out what the resources are, or I may not, I haven't been able to, they're going to tell you the reason why they haven't gotten it done, right?
Mm.
You get on the call and they've already got it done, then you congratulate them and say, hey, do you know anybody else who might be interested, right? But if they're going to tell you why they haven't solved this problem, whether it's a health problem, or I'm building a new thing, or learning a new skill, or making a change, or in Nikki's case, like organizing their homes or their lives, and you just have to listen to those words, right? So if it's either time or money. Those are the two big ones, right? I haven't had the time to do this. I'm just too busy, or it's just I can't put together the finance. I can't figure out how to do it. And then your goal in here is to help them visualize what that future without this problem might be, right? And so, yeah, it's again, Alex, picking on your particular point, it's like, wow, it'd be so great, if you could wake up tomorrow and that food forest is already growing, right? And you're starting to already get the benefits of the increased biodiversity, and the natural landscape has changed. Just waking up and going out in your patio and just seeing things growing it's absolutely going to be fantastic, right? Like, getting there is going to be a really great future for you to realize, right? I'm not sure what other selling points you have. Sorry.
Hey, I'm like, you're doing such a great job. You're hired. Yeah.
And
You
then
get it.
and then when we're here and we're in that moment, right? So we've listened to them, they're telling us their problem, and they're starting to use those key words that we're listening for, where it's, I haven't had the time, or I haven't had the energy, I can't find the right person, I'm not, they blah, blah, blah. Our job is to hear those roadblocks, help them understand what it would feel like, paint that picture of what a future might look like, where that problem no longer exists. And then you say, here, it's like, there are options here that I have that I can get you to that vision. I can get that future. And this is where it comes back to, what is it? So do you get them there faster? Do you have a proven process that does it? Do you have a unique system that, does it better than anybody else? Is there like, what is it that makes you different, and a reason why, they could be interested in this offer? And then just say, hey, look, is it okay if I, introduce you to the course I've built, because it's all ready to go and I'd love to share that with you. Does that make sense?
Really good.
It just makes me, my brain goes to a recent issue I had with a client who was excited to get immediately on a call, because that didn't work out at the end, because the pace they were in their excitement was also in their letting go. And then my sales coach said, you're not there to sell, they are here to buy. So when the people are too excited, you have to slow them down. They don't see the roadblocks, and then they got hit by a truck and there they're gone. So really slowing them down. But it's so seductive in a way if people are excited, because they push all your buttons that you are excited about it, too generous, you want to sell. But at the end, I learned the hard way recent months. I have to slow them myself down. I have to slow them down. If they get a little bit less excited and they understand what the roadblocks are, then they don't give up with the first one.
Give me an example of what roadblocks, because I want to offer two possibilities. I really love where you're going, but what's like a roadblock that happened because you're teaching people how to become better leaders at the end of the day?
Well, the
Like,
biggest roadblock that I found is that people talk a lot about self-actualization, personal development, but investing in themselves is for most people a step too far. So the first roadblock is always the money. Like in the Netherlands, if you work with senior leaders, they think coaching is therapy. you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
You have to break that one off.
Mhm.
If someone else is paying, then owning your personal development is nice. But if HR decides not to pay, then so one of the things I have to go through as well, like what if HR doesn't pay? Are you still excited about your personal? Are you going to fund it yourself? And that question in itself already opens people up like, oh, this is serious, you know?
Mhm. That's
Owning
great,
and
isn't it?
doing,
That's really great that you get there because then you have that heart-to-heart talk with them where it's like, look, like how important is it for you to be able to wake up tomorrow and feel fantastic, feel happy,
yeah.
feel
And that money
use it.
question, don't wait too long. Like you don't want to do the sales. That's the paradox. You don't want to do the sales at the beginning, but you need to know at the beginning, are they able to buy it, to pay?
Mhm.
Or maybe in a more senior position, are they willing to pay for it? And
And
I've learned to
that's
find out that in the first 15 minutes, because else I'm wasting their time and they are wasting my time.
so I want to take us back to the ideal client profile in this particular case, right? Because you want to make sure that you really, really, really know what that person should look like. And there's a key question in that ideal client profile, like how much money do they make? You know, do they have a job? Are they, these kinds of things? Because that's if people start showing up and they don't fit those criteria, then you know already they're not qualified, right? And you should say, hey, Arjun, it's I understand, you'd be really interested in this, but I don't think it's a good idea for work together because this is a very serious investment, and I'm looking for those people, or you just don't even answer their inquiry, right? And so, but what you've also pointed out there is making sure that you qualify them in the beginning to make sure that they do understand this investment. That's a really, really key point as well. It's tough. It's a
Yeah.
tough balancing act. Yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest surprise I had recently was someone who was over 30 years in corporate life, earned way more than probably the sum of all of us,
Mm,
but had never invested personal money in personal development.
mm,
So, a couple of $1,000, not a problem. Oh,
sure.
but now I have to pay it myself. $250? Never invested that in myself.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. Sure.
And I was flabbergasted by that.
So and that's where these kinds of conversations that we're talking about right now, um, for you to really work on painting the picture of what the future looks like, helping them to really tangibly feel what the change that you bring, your process brings, and the types of how their life looks different. They're going to they want to buy into that future rather than just thinking about, because $250 for personal development doesn't sound very sexy, right?
Yeah.
But $250 to live a stress-free life of effortlessness, that's a whole different thing. Or $250 to, completely transform the way that you lead others. That's a totally different conversation, right? And again, but it still all speaks back to probably what you deliver. The only other thing that I would say that is uh, sometimes we sabotage ourselves as salespeople. And I know that we had Sophia on last time as well. And I think Alex, maybe you said this as well, where we have people who we come in contact with. I think Arjun, you're giving this example as well, where people are like, yeah, this sounds really interested. I'd love to do it. Yes. Right. Let's do it. And then shut up and give them the pay link. Right. Shut up and give them the buy button. And be prepared to do that. Never, ever, ever start these calls without the ability to give somebody a button to buy or a link where they can buy. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you get on a conversation, like one of these enrollment conversations where you say, oh, wow, yeah, and everybody's, you get to the end of the conversation and you ask for permission to share your offer. And you're like, okay, but let me send that to you in 2 days because I'm not, I got to put it together. You want to be able to say, let me send that to you right now and be able to have them purchase your product while they're ready for it and while you're in that conversation.
Would
Only
you want
because-
to
Go ahead.
do it right then and there? Ask for their information.
If you are bold And you really, yes, absolutely. The most powerful salespeople are able to say, I'd love to have you join me in my next class. I have the sign up link right now. Could I share it with you right now? Because I'd love for you to just sign up and let's get started. Like that is absolutely acceptable as long as you feel like that doesn't turn into high pressure, uncomfortable sales for you. Yeah.
I really love the language you use. It's just been so helpful. Like, what a beautiful way of saying it. I'd love to have you join me in my next class versus, hey, if you sign up now.
Sure. I think this goes back to remembering that we're not selling a product here. We are performing a service that's actually going to help people, right? Like if you really need to truly believe that what you're putting out in the world, the process that you have, the certification that whatever it is that you've created, is going to transfer someone's lives, because then you're not selling a product that could be something they need. You're helping them really have a transformative moment. And in that case, you want them. You're like, look, I'm excited about this. I think it's so amazing that you're interested in this. You want to become a better leader, right? You want to remove toxicity from your home. You want to organize your life. Debo, sorry, I got to remember. It's Dapo. Dapo, what is it that you deliver? We haven't even asked you. What is it that you deliver?
I train youths on maximizing their strengths and channeling it to a good career.
Okay. So I don't want to minimize what you do, but could we say that you're a career coach? Like you help them to find a career that maximizes or leverages their strengths?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I know actually several career coaches out there that make a ton of money. So you're actually in a great space, if I'm completely honest with you. To go back to what I was saying is coming in these conversations, listening to what the problems that they have, helping them visualize that future that is going to be after we've solved their problems or help them to solve their problems, right? Listening to the roadblocks that they put out there for you. Like I said, most of the time it's, I don't have the money or I don't have the time, but there's lots of other ones, right? Where you just, you can sense it when people talk about, they're just not sure what next step to take. That's another really common one. It's like, I'm not sure what to do next. Like, I don't even know where to start. Right. Well, it's wonderful. I know how we get from this kind of cluttered, congested feeling that you have, right? I know how to get to that place of clarity and tranquility and, effortlessness. And, if you don't mind, like right now, I'd love to send over a link that will show you this course that I've built that will take you step by step of how to create, a future that is clean and open, right? Like, so there's just ways to say it, and you can use their roadblocks to say, look, I hear what you're saying. I know how to solve that problem, right? As you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about this. I love this stuff. It's great. I want to make sure that we cover a couple other things, because I've got a whole bunch of other stuff to share with you. But I think we're just going to keep having these sessions, which is totally fine. This is wonderful.
I would love that. Thank you.
I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Yeah.
How about dealing with rejection? What are ways that, now I've kind of put my bullet points on the screen already so you can see what I'm going to put on the table here, but I'd love to know from any of you right now, without reading what's on the screen maybe, what are your processes? What preparation are you doing for yourself to make sure that you are ready to hear people say no or ghost you, or say, oh yeah, I'd love to buy it, and then they never actually push buy on the link, or just hey, I'd love to get on the call with you, and like, no, I'm not interested. Like, what have you done to prepare for that? Because guess what, most people aren't going to buy from you, right? Most of them. So
I think the easy one.
Go ahead, Arjun.
I learned recently that people can't ghost you if you serve them with value. They just didn't have the time to react. So someone said to me, don't message them twice or 3 times or 4 times. Just keep on messaging till they say no. Don't do it every week. Do it every 5, 6 weeks. Not the same routine, but you have value. You know it benefits them. So maybe they need to hear it 10 times before they prioritize to answer.
I think the common knowledge or the meme that's out there is every sale takes 7 touch points, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? I'm not sure if that's a reality. I'm sure there's
But it
research.
helped me because I had that list in my Excel sheet with people that ghosted me, and that became longer and longer. And I started to find them horrible people.
Mm,
So it just helped me not to have that list. Keep believing that I can serve them, empower them, and give them the opportunity to say no.
sure.
Then it was not a surprise either that they say no, because I asked them to say no.
And what I love where my mind goes as you're just sort of riffing off exactly what you're saying is your first offer may not be something that they can hear, right? Your second offer may be something that they can't hear, but maybe over time you will have a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth offer. And maybe the sixth or seventh offer is the one they're like, oh, that actually resonates with me. Or wow, I didn't know you did that. Can we talk about that? Or hey, I didn't, wow, especially like imagine if, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, you've got 5 or 6 new great testimonials. And one of them is a colleague of theirs, or one of them is in their network. And you're like, hey, I just wanted to share the success story of Bill, who, I was working with, and he had a breakthrough moment and now he's just really transformed his leadership style. And he, can I send you a video of Bill talking about that? Your networks are really tight. And so that's another, it could unlock something. I'm agreeing with you, Arjun. It's don't close the door until they've closed it for you, right? Until they've said, no, do not contact me, or they've unsubscribed from your email list or whatever, right?
Blocked you on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Blocked you on LinkedIn. I'm gonna let that one sit there. I'm just gonna let that one sit there.
So I recently had that seriously, like that I am part of 2 mailing lists where I never subscribed. I know that I sent the guy 3 or 4 texts because we were connected, and now we know, and we're not connected anymore. So I thought, how can you just kick me out of your network and add me to your email list? Like,
that's rough. That's bad.
yeah, it happens. Humans.
Dr. Cheryl, I'd love to hear from you. How do you prep for a call to deal with rejection? Or do you have any strategies that you've used?
Well, one I was going to say is that I just think back to when I first enrolled in EPM, and that was, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, and I've done that twice, and I've stuck around all this time, but it literally probably took about 2 years before I started to hear what I needed to hear, because I wasn't there yet. That's not where I was in my switch from, just providing services face to face to me moving online. And I started hearing the things that I needed to hear. So here I am, which means that sometimes we have to wait for people to catch up. You just keep, like Arjun was saying, keep giving value. And so I think that that's what I do, but also I am a recovering therapist. But one of the things that I know is all about the theoretical model for change, that people are in different places when it comes to, seeing the transformation or the change that they need in their life. So I don't take those things personal. What I do is I keep giving, just giving the value that I have, which is what I enjoy, as part of my passion in doing it. So hopefully they hear it. I mean, I'm now learning how to advertise because I've given and gotten clients, just by people telling people, hey, do you know about the work that she's doing? And these are organizations, and I'm making a switch now to consumers, but it's been through word of mouth. And it's because I really do have that in my head now, that just keep giving. I'm not giving them everything, the solutions. What I'm giving them is so they can see what I have to offer to them and how I can support them. So
fantastic. So, but the one thing that I didn't hear you say is how do you prepare yourself, if at all,
Oh, myself?
to handle
Oh,
rejection. So when
oh,
you're on a call and you're like, hey, I'd love for you to come take my course, or I'd love for you to come join me, and people just say
oh.
no, no thanks.
I'll just tell you, like I said, I'm a therapist. So pretty much for me, things people say, and I'm also an educator, which means that, I get my students call me names all the time, and I know it's not about me because sometimes it's about their recovery or where they are mentally in life. And so for me, I just have prepared myself that check myself to see, is there something that I could have done different? But I also have to remember that some of that is not about me at all. And so, and then I do have my little support group where we talk it out so I can make sure that I'm on track with it, with knowing whether it's me or them or something I need to change. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you got a support group. That's
Oh
fantastic.
yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I might put that in this slide actually. Cynthia, what about you? Have you thought about any prep work that you do, or is there anything special that you do to prepare yourself to hear no?
Well, I've heard a lot of them. So for me, I just share what it is that I do, and I do try and explain to them when they talk about, for instance, the cost. And because people sometimes if they don't see something, it's not there. And what I'm sharing with them is how they can eliminate these toxins from their home. But I talk to them about, how the cost of not doing something outweighs the costs of them, possibly, eliminating the experiences, those physical symptoms that they're having. And so I'm not a pushy salesperson. So if I do get a rejection, I just feel like that they're not ready, or they don't realize the value as of yet, and let them know that I'm here. When they do feel as though or know someone that may actually benefit from what I'm offering, I'm here to help them.
Super cool. Thanks. Anybody else want to offer and any ways that they prepared to hear no? Go ahead, Alex.
So when I sent out the first kind of text message and I got someone saying, oh, it's too expensive, I said it was too much of a push, but I said, yep, completely understand. So here's a link to a heap of free tutorials for you, and hopefully that'll be something that's really helpful for you. And I look forward to staying in touch and wishing you much joy in your garden.
I like that. Yeah, you follow up with, hey, look, it's cool if you're not ready. Here's some resources for you. I love that. You continue the conversation. Great. The advice that is on the screen for you all here is, one, to first recognize that rejection is the most common thing that you're going to hear when you're out there, until you get to a point where, like Dr. Cheryl or some of the other gurus that we have out there, like Marisa or whatever, where they have a sort of a network that brings them business, and it's more about selective sailing. You can say, who do I want to actually work with, rather than going out and fishing. Rejection is going to be inevitable. And so it's something to recognize that's just, it's okay. That's all right. It's for all of us, every single one of us. If if Marisa were to start a completely new project tomorrow that had nothing to do with Live Your Message, she would do the same thing, because she would have to start from zero, right? Excuse me. The second thing is, to create a pre-sales success routine. And so something around, before you start that Zoom call, before you, get engaged in text messages or whatever, have something where you do a visualization process, or maybe you just have that one, sticky note or thing that's on your office board, and actually look at it and actually remind yourself, Why am I doing this? Why is this important? What future am I creating? There it is. Look at that. Perfect, Alex. You know, so do you remind yourself to say, hey, look, I'm valuable. I'm important. What I'm offering is important. And, you know, I'm bringing my message to the world, right? So it's just something important so that you're going into the call knowing, you know, from that position of strength. The third thing there is something that I recommend, just so only because then you can actually really watch what happens in a call. So especially if you're using Zoom and you're getting people on video calls like this, ask them, you say, hey, look, would you mind if I record this, just because, you know, this isn't a public thing. I just want to make sure that you know, I learn and I grow from each of these experiences. And so it would be really helpful to me if I could record this, you know, just to get better over time. And most often people are like, yeah, no problem. You know, every now and then you'll be like, somebody will say, no, you know, I prefer not to be, and that's great. Just don't record it and don't do it. But asking is a really valuable tool, because then you have that recording and you can actually, the thing is that you actually have to go back and review those calls and listen to yourself. Do you feel cringy? I mean, like, wow, you will notice points where it's like, hey, I was just talking too much. I should have just shut up. Or, wow, I could really explain that point better. Right. Or, well, wow, did you hear what, you know, my client or my prospect just said? I didn't even listen to the fact that they were talking about this blockage they had, and I could have really used that blockage as a way to paint the future for them. But actually going back and, you know, putting a time on your calendar where you spend, you know, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, reviewing your sales calls for the week and saying, how can I do this better? It's just like any other training, right? It's the hardest thing in the world to look yourself in the mirror. But the more that you do it, the more that you will, you'll get better faster, right? You'll build those muscles. And, especially if you have other people like Dr. Cheryl does, if you're even willing to share them with others to get feedback. Wow, that's a really big one.
And I'll tell you, I use my recordings. I don't listen to them right away. I actually give it to my husband because I know he's going to take lots of notes and he's going to give me those. And yeah, that's one of the things. He even comes to my sessions and will take notes on things that I didn't realize. And it's been so helpful. He didn't have to sleep on the sofa. So that was pretty good. Because
I'll tell you what, I do this with, so my wife is actually, you know, a high powered executive. My wife is the head of a UN agency, right? And so it's, she gets free coaching from me all the time. And a lot of times it's hard to hear, right? A lot of times she's like, don't, blah. You know, she'll just like, in the moment, she doesn't want to hear it. But then, you know, when we take times to break things down or talk about a speech she's given, or prepare her for, you know, a networking opportunity or whatever, like, yeah, those are great times. It's great moments. If you have a partner like that, it's fantastic for sure. One other thing that I noticed is not in my slides anywhere, that it's just the most important thing, and I want to wrap up our time today with this, is, and I should just, we gotta be able to type it in here somewhere, is that you actually have to ask for the sale, right? And so we had it in the enrollment conversation, right? Where you ask for permission to share an offer, but you really just have to ask for what you want, right? And it's one of those things where, rather than bouncing around the issue or, you know, talking about, like, just being able to find phrases that work for you, where you can specifically ask the person to confirm that they're interested, that what you're offering has value, and that, yes, they would be very, you know, they would be interested in taking a next step. Those are really important phrases to have in your lexicon, in your, you know, quiver or your toolbox, to know. For example, you know, when we were, again, using Alex as an example, when we get on a call, at some point early in the conversation, she should say something like, you know, I'm really passionate about, you know, building food forests for people. I mean, is that something that's valuable for you? Is that a really a conversation you're really interested in having? And get them to say, yeah, no, I'm really interested in that. Get them to confirm it, right? Because if they're not willing to say, or in Arjun's case, like, you know, hey, do you want to become a better leader? Do you want to, you know, find this different way to lead people and, you know, become something different for the future? Get them to say, yeah, no, this is really important to me. Because then that's going to make it so much easier for them to start telling you about those other roadblocks and other pieces. And then when you are, you know, put an offer on the table, you can come back and say, look, you know, as you've said, earlier in the conversation, you said this is really important to you. I see, I hear that you really don't have any time to do this and you want to find a way to get to that food forest faster. Well, look, I have a program that, it only takes a couple of weeks. It's a really solid, I've got a process that works, and, you will result in having a food forest on your property that's going to have XYZ, benefits. Why don't you come join me right now? So you build your way to that success. Once again, I'm just absolutely shocked at how fast an hour in the universe goes. I believe in the theory that as we get older, our relative experience of going around the sun becomes shorter and shorter and shorter, right? The first time you go around the sun, it's the only time. Now I've done it 50 times, and now it's just, oh my Lord, it's so short. So hours go by so fast. But I will invite you all to another conversation so that we can talk about this deliver portion. You do have all of these links in the document, but essentially what the deliver portion is talking about how we take what we've learned from our hot network. As we go out there and we start having these phone calls and these text messages and these emails with our hot network, and people start saying, well, yeah, I've heard about, that there could be things in my home that, aren't making me feel good, or, I have some health issues. I'm not sure where they're coming from, or what, you're going to hear from people. What is it that their problems are? And that is where you can say, look, this is what I can build. Now, I know, Alex, you've already built your courses, and Cheryl, Cynthia, you've already built some of your courses, your EMC. But if it's something where you're saying, look, how do I respond now, today, to the problems that I'm hearing? We've put together this workshop course format that you could literally build in, a day. Meaning, film yourself or and you actually, the way that the workshop course is built out, you actually do a live Zoom where you give your workshop live and you record it, and then you put it into Experienceify, and then you use it as an evergreen workshop that you can point people to. But so when we talk about attract, convert, deliver, this is where the promise of being able to deliver a course that people actually want comes from going out to your, understanding who your target client is, going out and talking to your hot network to try to attract those people and start having conversations around it, listening to those problems. And then this is what I mean by, where is it? The niche within the niche, right? What are the niches within your niche, right? So, you start talking, Alex, about food forests, but maybe people want to talk about biodiversity on their land, or maybe people want to talk about, better water conservation, or maybe better, people want to talk about, sustainability, or maybe people want to talk about biodiversity, in different kinds of trees. So when you start to listen to the niches within your niche, you could say, look, well, I've got this, I actually have a workshop that I'm doing next week, and it's focused on how to create better biodiversity on your land, right? That's still directly related to creating a food forest. It's still totally within your wheelhouse, but you're going to answer this one question and then expand it in that workshop to say, look, the way that you can get great biodiversity on your property without any stress is by creating a food forest, right? And this is, and I happen to have a course that's for food, and the other one you can listen for are, I heard this term recently, and I love it. Listening for bleeding neck problems versus stub toe problems, right? So, God, I can't quite figure out to get the kids out the door every day. That's just a stub toe problem. Like, okay, that's you getting up a little earlier and getting it. But like, my kid with ADHD is just failing in school, and me and my husband, we cannot figure out how to help him or her to do that. That's a bleeding neck problem, right? Mm-hmm. That is something where there is an immediate need. That is we really need to figure this out, or life will not be better. And so listening for those problems are the ones that you want to make sure that you're trying to solve. And then there's always unexpected discoveries where who knows what, toxicity in the home, or, helping people find careers, or whatever it is. You never know when you start having these conversations. You're like, wow, I didn't even realize I should be offering that, because I could, who knows, you could have a whole course on chlorine. I have no idea, that maybe everybody is really focused in on something right now. So that's an unexpected discovery. So I'm going to leave you there right now, folks. Watch for another email from me about another session. I cannot promise you that it will happen before the new year. Unfortunately, I am traveling to Colorado on Saturday, and I do love my time with my family and my mountains. And so it may not happen before the new year, but I promise that we will come back before then. I might be able to find one in between Christmas and New Year's, but I will promise you that it'll happen just after the new year when we do it. Sound good?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
If I don't
Thank
see
you.
you
Thank
before
you.
then, have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that we all enter into the new year with a lot of peace and prosperity. So have a great one.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.